Welcome to the 2017-2018 Avalanche Conditions Report with Whitewater Ski Resort and Backcountry Skiing Canada. We've had a great start to the year with some good early season snow and some interesting conditions as of lately with the high pressures we've been having. I've got Jay Wishlow here, an avalanche forecaster, and myself, Bren McElroy, to start our first report of the season. We're going to take a look on the south aspect here in the snowpack and take a look at see what we've got.
Okay, so here we are in the south aspect at around 1900 meters. We've dug a quick profile here and I'm going to show you the layers the way they've set up this year. As you can see, we're sitting at about 85 centimeters of snow here, so definitely got a lot of settlement with our recent inversion and warm temperatures. And you can see we've got early October very near the ground, a crust that's set up there, and then a series, what we call a laminate crust that runs right through to about 25 to 30 centimeters below the surface. As well, another melt freeze crust has formed at the top here with our recent warm temperatures, with water percolating down and then refreezing with colder overnight temperatures. And we have some nice big surface hoar that's formed on top of that crust as well, which is something we're monitoring, especially on the south aspect sitting on a crust, because we fully anticipate that it's going to be a problem for us once we get this snow that's in our forecast.
So Jay was mentioning we have a melt freeze crust on the south aspect here, which will be our primary layer of concern when the new snow comes in and this gets buried. So you can see these feathery, sparkly surface hoar crystals. They're standing up and they have a lot of airspace in them, and they're sitting on this hard crust here. The way the forecast is coming in, we only have a little bit of snow, which won't be enough to squish this down, so it'll help keep the surface hoar standing and keep it well preserved. As that gets overlain with more weight on it, it will collapse and then it can slide off on that crust on that bed surface. So this will become a very dangerous layer, one to keep an eye on. Now this is on a south aspect. We've got a lot of spatial variability on the different aspects. So this would be south, southeast, southwest, anything that the sun has affected. On the northerly aspects, the surface hoar is much larger, and we'll go take a look at that shortly. And up in our alpine terrain, the wind has scoured a lot of the areas, so you'll see that there's some very shallow areas, so those will be areas to watch out for in around the thin bits around the rocks. That snow will be quite faceted and sugary and weak. So all of the aspects that we're looking at between north, south, the different elevation bands, as I was saying, there's a lot of variability, so you'll really want to keep an eye on these different layers as you're traveling now and as they get buried over the next little while. All right, so we've come into an area that is known for growing big surface hoar. We're down near a creek, so there's a lot of vapor and moisture available for it to grow. But just for some perspective here, this piece of surface hoar is 8 centimeters long, otherwise known as taco chip surface hoar. So what do you think, Jay?
Be nice with some guacamole.
Maybe a little salt and vinegar? All right, so this surface hoar layer is large, and it's quite variable depending on the aspect and the elevation, but we do know it is pretty much everywhere. So this is particularly large, as we were saying. The longer that this is on the surface, the more potential it has to become a persistent weak layer. So the concern is when the new snow falls on this, if you don't have enough weight to squish it down, it stays well preserved and standing up, kind of like dominoes or martini glasses. Then when you get enough weight on that, it will collapse and can become a weak layer. Because this surface hoar is everywhere right now, pretty much all aspects and elevations, it's quite a big concern for us. And as it gets buried, in these areas we haven't seen surface hoar this big. I'm not sure if we've ever seen surface hoar this big. It's quite phenomenal.
So given the size of the surface hoar here, we're in what we like to call a surface hoar farm. So it will be particularly big. The problem is once we get up into our start zones, right above us here is one of our bigger paths at Whitewater. Even if the surface hoar isn't quite as big, we still expect it to be present there if it hasn't been affected by the wind, and that's what we're really trying to follow and monitor, because if we have surface hoar there, it's going to be a very significant concern.
Heading into the weekend, we've got a little bit of snow coming tomorrow, maybe just a trace or so. And then the next system looks like Sunday night into Monday with a bit of a break, and another system coming in Tuesday. So hopefully we get some good snow to freshen things up around here. In the meantime, it's sunny up here today. It's supposed to be a bit of a break on Saturday with some more sun. We've got a whole new menu in the cafeteria with lots of great food to check out. Tribute Board Shop is going to be up doing some demos with Burton on Saturday, and we've got Santa on the mountain handing out candy canes on Sunday. So lots of fun stuff to come check out, all the new facilities, a lot of good things happening, and come on up and eat some chips, salt and vinegar?
Ketchup.
Ketchup. See you next week.